So you have to ask, how would they even enforce these kinds of restrictions? And the source argues it would all lean really.
So we hear a lot about smart cities, right? They promise to make our lives so much easier, so much more convenient. But what if there's a hidden side to all that innovation? Today, we're digging into a source that presents a pretty critical take on this whole trend. It really makes you question the real motives behind this big push for ultimate convenience.
So picture this. Your neighborhood is so perfectly set up, so convenient, you almost never have to leave. Sounds pretty great, right? A dream? Maybe? But what if that convenience isn't just a perk, but the entire point? According to the source we're looking at today, this could be a feature that's not designed to free you at all, but to, well, keep you put.
So let's break down what we're actually talking about. The term is the 15-minute city. And on paper, it sounds fantastic. I mean, imagine having everything you need. Your office, the grocery store, schools, parks, all within a 15-minute walk or bike ride. The whole idea is to create these really vibrant, walkable, and, sustainable communities.
Now, you might be thinking this is all just, a cool concept on a drawing board somewhere. But nope, this isn't just a theory. The 15-minute city idea is actively being explored and even put into practice, especially in suburbs all across the United States. This is happening right now.
So where is this actually happening? Well, the source points to real-world initiatives in American cities like Portland and Cleveland. What they're doing is creating these transit-oriented communities. And what that means is they're essentially building these dense, self-sufficient neighborhoods right around public transportation hubs. The goal? To cut down on the need for cars and those long, draining commutes.
Okay, so far so good, right? Well, this is where our source material takes a pretty dramatic turn. It argues that we need to look past all the shiny marketing language, the sustainability, the convenience, and see this for what the source claims it really is, a form of societal engineering.
And this really shows you the two completely different ways of looking at this. On one hand, you have the stated goals, convenience, making things more sustainable, building a strong community. Sounds great. But the source we're digging into today claims the real goals are something else entirely: control, restriction, and a very deliberate re-engineering of how we all live and move around.
And the source really doesn't pull any punches. It puts its core accusation out there very bluntly, saying the goal isn't convenience, it is a carefully engineered climate lockdown. Now that's a really provocative claim, right? It totally reframes this whole thing. It's not an urban upgrade, but something much, much different.
So, okay. If this really is a climate lockdown, as the source claims, how would that even work? Well, the source actually lays out what it calls a blueprint, a supposed step-by-step plan for how you would turn that shiny promise of convenience into a system of control.
All right, so according to the source, this whole plan allegedly unfolds in 4 stages. First, you redesign the suburbs, turning them into these high-density zones. Step 2, you create a kind of local dependency, making sure all the essential stuff is only available right there, so you really don't have a reason to leave. Then, and this is the really crucial part, you start to implement travel restrictions to limit and monitor anyone moving outside their 15-minute zone. And the final step, you justify all of it as necessary climate action.
So you have to ask, how would they even enforce these kinds of restrictions? And the source argues it would all lean really heavily on technology. I mean, think about it. Widespread surveillance systems to monitor where people are going, tracking systems for every citizen, and maybe even getting to a point where you need a digital travel permit to leave your own neighborhood.
And all of this really gets to the heart of the debate, doesn't it? It sets up this fundamental conflict. Are we building a better, more sustainable future? Or, as this source suggests, are we creating a future where we trade our personal freedom for a carefully managed, top-down kind of existence?
So, the warning from this source is really crystal clear. The argument is that this promise of an easy, super convenient, 15-minute life could be a bit of a Trojan horse. It looks great on the outside, but inside it might be hiding a totally different reality, one where our movements are constantly monitored and our personal liberty is traded away for that top-down control.
Which really just leaves us with one final and pretty critical question to think about. As our cities get smarter and more connected every single day, we have to ask who is actually holding the blueprint for our future? And, maybe more importantly, what are their ultimate goals?